It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He's Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley. As we begin a Wednesday, Gary, welcome back.
Thanks, and let's start with some nostalgia. All right. 15 years ago yesterday. You ready?
All right.
15 years ago yesterday. Here we go.
All right.
Sea ice, which is melting at a rate that the Arctic Ocean now increasingly is exposed. In 5 years, scientists predict we will have the first ice-free Arctic summer.
Didn't happen.
No.
Hasn't happened. And, you know, not that I want to delve on climate change, because there's more things going on. But every single major catastrophic prediction on climate change has never come true.
They've missed every single one.
Every single catastrophic scenario, which is the reason that we have our insane energy policy from this administration, every single one has never come true. And so we here at Red Eye Radio ask the question, why? Because I spent even a day longer with the critical thinking John McNamara than I thought I was going to spend.
You were delayed so long, Julian Assange almost got home before you.
We'll get to that coming up on the show a little bit later on.
All right.
But you have to ask the question that when not one prediction, catastrophic prediction of climate change, which was the driver of the world policy of energy, which is insane, as we all know, when not one comes true, should you question, or if you question the legitimacy of the whole climate change argument, should you be called a radical or a denier, or
A liar.
Or should you be called a prognosticating liar on the other side?
Yeah, they're liars.
Right, they're liars. Liars, climate liar, climate liar, climate liar. I like that. We're going to use that from now on.
Hey, we could get Greta on that. Greta, start chanting climate liars, climate liars, because she's against everybody. We can just turn her in the. You just get her. You wind her up and just point her in the right direction. How dare you? How dare you?
Oh, to answer one of the questions we got on Twitter, it was a draw at the family reunion.
No. We don't have draws.
Yeah, we had a draw. Well, we changed it.
Did the Oilers and the Panthers have a draw? No. The Panthers took the cup.
I know.
There's no draw.
It wasn't. I wanted to continue. But we played a different format this year.
You had a plane to catch.
No, I had a plane not to catch the next morning. Cousin John was busy in conversation, could not participate in the bocce ball tournament. We lost the first one we lost, I think 15-8 or something like that. But then we roared back in the second bocce ball match to take it. And I wanted to continue, but they we're done. We're done.
Wow, yeah, well,
apparently the bocce balls are heavy, and we're all getting to be old, and some of the relatives were complaining.
I hate that part of getting old. It's like, in your case, let's get the kids to play the bocce ball now. Now we know why.
Well, we actually did. The kids actually were the ones
Did
that, because a lot of we don't want to play. We don't want to play. So it was
get the kids on.
It was heavily skewed towards kids this year playing bocce ball. That absolutely
pitch
loved
hitters
it.
That are get all the kids. They'll bat for it.
Well, the old guard, the old school bocce ball players. Just had to get out, but. I got back. It was fine yesterday. Did you know on that day? Now, I have never, as I told you on the air last night when I called in from the airport, that I have never, ever been delayed because of maintenance repair, ever. In almost it's a half century, because the first time I flew was 74. So a half century of flying, the first time ever delayed where a day. I've been delayed, but delayed a day.
Yeah, right.
Now, one of the reasons, because every time I've told the story, people go, come on, there wasn't one seat. There wasn't one seat.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually checked. She said, I'm checking Delta for you to see if I can get you on Delta. And I don't know if they have a relationship with Delta or whatever. Remember, you used to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Used to be able to just take your ticket. If you couldn't get on a flight, go down to the competing airline, give them your ticket, and you could get on if they had a seat. They'd let you on and they'd transfer the payments. I don't believe they really do that anymore unless it's unless they view it a very, very huge extenuating circumstance.
Right, yeah.
But there was one, and then I found out yesterday that Monday was the busiest air travel day in American history. Over 3 million. That's never happened before.
What's going on there?
Yeah, because I was like, what do you mean there's not one seat? Because my status is so high, if there's a seat, I'm going to get it first.
Right.
And when they normally, this is something they're doing differently. If your flight's canceled, they will on the app, you'll get all the different flights.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it's delayed, they do it. So I got it on the app immediately. It said your flight is delayed.
Okay,
and
back in the day, you had to wait for it to be actually canceled.
Right, before they would do
okay.
They didn't know.
Because I was thinking, when you called in last night, I was thinking that because you had mentioned a couple times in the conversation, the flight hadn't been canceled yet. It was just delayed. Then finally it was delayed 24 hours plus.
And it finally, I did check it. The original flight eventually took off. Yeah, they delayed it.
Just now, 5 minutes ago.
Well, my coach seat beat my original upgraded first class seat.
Yeah, and they said
Dallas.
They said that plane that you were supposed to originally be on is pretty much okay to fly.
Yeah. They said, it was good enough.
Yeah.
They took some duct tape and put that Boeing together, and then it was apparently was able to. I'm not really sure if they flew that plane or brought another plane in. But, but it was, the thing is, you're so tired that you end up meeting a ton of people that you talk to, and like a day after, 2 days after, you go, that was a great conversation.
Yeah.
I met it. It was funny because I started talking to someone, and because I complain. I never have complained, and I complained on Twitter. And I was talking to some people and met a conservative from Orange County, California, and she's going to make sure that she listens all the time now.
All right.
And she
awesome.
said, and the funny thing is, she said, oh, there's another celebrity here. She goes, yeah, he's an actor. And I looked, I'm thinking it's William, Fichtner. Is that his name, from Buffalo? The guy who's been in a million things. You see his face, you go, I know that guy. And I didn't recognize this one guy. And he goes, yes. And I went over and said, yeah. And I said, yeah, you're an actor? I said, yeah. I said, how long? He goes, since 2010. He's been in Hollywood. And I went, what's your name? And just as I said, what's your name, they said, it came up, somebody screamed, it's been delayed another 4 hours. And then all hell broke loose. And I never got the guy's name. So I actually went through, and I haven't found it yet. I actually went through, just Google and put, famous Buffalo actors. I'm looking, I'm going,
Right.
The guy that everybody started screaming when he said his name. I can't remember it. Is this the guy? Is that the guy? Is this the guy?
Right. Yeah.
But had some great conversations with people. Dad doing great. Dad held court. He was there for like 5 hours at the and just sat there, and people coming up and talking to him and talking to him and talking to him, and so it was really a good trip home. And I'll view it with a great deal of nostalgia, because who knows when I'll be able to get back to Buffalo again. Oh, I'm sorry, I'll be flying back in 2 days.
Oh, that's right, for vacation.
Yes.
See you in a minute, Dad. I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
It was like, hey, no goodbyes. It was yesterday. No goodbyes. I'm back in 3 days.
Yeah. Hey, Gary, this is the airlines. I'm sorry your luggage didn't make it. Just hold on to it. I'll be right back.
It was good. Interesting that you and I were having the same thoughts. We talked about this in our pre-show meeting about Burgum.
It's weird because over the weekend, Well, for me, it started with a couple of things. There was an article about the four that we know, or that the media is reporting, that had been vetted. The three senators, Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, and Tim Scott, and then Burgum. And Burgum stands out because he's not a senator. And he also stands out because leading up to 2024, outside of North Dakota, he's not a household name. Politically, he's known, of course, but he's not the lightning rod. And I mean that kind of, I don't know if that's actually for a Republican or if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but if you look at the other three, J.D. Vance, somewhat, Tim Scott, for sure, from the left, and Marco Rubio, of course, have all been lightning rods. But they've been in the Senate. Those last two have been in the Senate for a while, and they're kind of used to it. Burgum is one of those guys, and you and I talked about it yesterday when you were gone, and just, okay, what would Trump see in Burgum? Forget about what Eric thinks. What does Trump see in Burgum? You have a guy who's who appears to be a self-starter. His Great Plains software sold to Microsoft in 2000. He had a 10% stake in that when it sold. He was, in fact, a senior vice president after that for Microsoft for several years, and then went on and got into real estate development. That's another thing that he has in common with Trump. But being a self-starter. And then you look at what he's doing right now as a surrogate. Trump has a lot of pretty good surrogates out there in the party. Burgum has been more than just a surrogate. He's also been an advisor. And so when you look at what he's done, like energy policy, I brought up last night, my only concern there is, he talked about carbon capturing, and then he did the whole, we want to be carbon neutral, and I'd have some questions about that. It kind of reminds me of where we were with Sarah Palin. We mentioned Sarah Palin. I think we were the first show in the country to mention Sarah Palin very early in 2008. And as a possible Veep pick, and I think now when you look at it, Burgum makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. Also, as a governor, he's someone who has literally governed. And then you look at the future of the party. You were mentioning in the pre-show meeting some really great points about he's different than Pence. Pence was quiet, but was the evangelical right, which made maybe that made sense in 2016. Donald Trump needed to appeal to the evangelical base, and I remember, in fact, one pastor here, a prominent pastor here in the North Texas area, was on with the radio on Chris with. I think it was on with Chris Kroc, our buddy at WBAP. That's also filled in on Red Eye from time to time. And when Pastor Jeffers talked about why in 2016 they were okay with Donald Trump, it was look at the things that have gone on during the Obama administration, and look at how religion's being attacked. Look what the left is doing. And wow, another 8 years has gone by now, and you can add to that list of things. I'm sure that Pastor Jeffers would probably, get on he would agree with. I don't know. We haven't really heard a lot from evangelicals, but I think it's kind of a given that they're blended in with a lot of us, that we can't allow these radicals to be a part of the party going forward. But Pence was that choice then. Burgum now makes sense because Burgum, as you mentioned, we kind of agreed. We hadn't talked about it. We hadn't talked about it at all.
No.
I joked about, when I was on with you, hey, earlier on the show, I endorsed him for president. which of course was not true. But it was just kind of lining out. I told you, tongue in cheek, but I said I was vetting Burgum over the weekend. But just reading into him, okay. We know Tim Scott, we know Marco Rubio, we know J.D. Vance. So why is Burgum on that short list of those four that have been vetted, according to most reports? And that's what it comes down to, the self-starter. You mentioned it. We hadn't talked about it, but that's it. He's a guy who that we believe Trump can say, point in the right direction, and boom, he's gone. And he's on it. And I hope that means good things for the party going forward. He will be 68 by the time the election hits. If he's going to run in 2028, if Trump wins, then he's going to be 72. But he is a self-starter, and I think it wouldn't be a bad pick.
Yeah, we'll get to that as we talk about the debate coming up and everything surrounding the debate. But I saw it was at what Kevin O'Leary said last week. He's the get-it-done guy. Mm-hmm. And you can use a Burgum to contrast Kamala Harris. That, this vice president didn't get anything done. And, and Trump could say, this is the guy who's built this business, built this business, built this business. Again, as we said in 2020, what he should have said, and even 2016, which we don't believe Trump said enough, I'm a builder. The Democratic Party destroys things. I'm a builder. I've always been a builder.
Yeah.
Burgum is I like that one. Burgum is a builder.
Yeah.
But we want to build things, and we want to make sure that, the private sector, because he comes from the private sector, we're private sector builders. You unleash your private sector.
Yep.
That's where it gets done. You've got Biden using Kamala Harris in order to help destroy businesses and destroy the economy. We're here to build the economy.
Right.
It would make a great contrast.
Yeah, I think so.
Not that you couldn't do that with others. For example, Ramaswamy, you might be able to make that. But to me, Ramaswamy is too much like, and this is just a personality thing, is too much like Trump. And you want that contrast.
Yeah, right.
You want Trump to be the loud one.
Sure.
866-90-RED-I.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. Every driver knows the cost of replacing tires is a major expense. What if you could save on tire costs without sacrificing performance or safety? Consider retreads, a sustainable, cost-effective way to rack up your miles. The lower price tag of retreads might make it feel like you're sacrificing performance, but many of the quality retreads available today have proven to perform comparable to new tires. Plus, dependable tire performance also has to do with choosing the right retreads for your application and adopting a tire maintenance routine. Determining the position in which your retreads will be placed and what application they'll be used in should be the first steps you take when purchasing tires, whether new or retreads.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Well, here we go. It's a debate week. Just another. We're at Wednesday, right?
It is Wednesday.
Okay,
yes,
so the debate is tomorrow. I'm sorry.
No, It's all. It was. I'm driving in a little while ago, and I'm thinking to myself, well, wait a minute. Was that just yesterday's show? That wasn't a couple days ago? I'm totally out of it. And we're on vacation next week, which is totally going to throw it off. But before then, we have a debate, and it's going to be crazy.
We'll talk next.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio. from the Uniden America Studios.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thank you for being here. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose if you can't listen live overnight.
Another great thing about Doug Burgum, he slightly resembles Eugene Levy. And they were in an eyebrow contest one time. People don't know this. They were in, and Burgum won second in best eyebrows. Eugene Levy got first. But it's funny because I saw some pictures of him and I thought, they could be related, maybe. Especially when Burgum is wearing glasses. I think he almost always wears glasses. I could be wrong, but in a lot of the pictures he does. And he's got good eyebrows. Good, strong eyebrows. That's what we need in America. Make eyebrows great again.
Did you ever see Levy in the movie The Man?
No. But anything he's in, I'll watch for sure.
Him and Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
I mean, the contrast between the two.
Yeah.
I had seen it a couple of years ago. I don't even know when the movie came out. Let me just check. 2005. It just happened to come out. I go, what's this movie?
Yeah.
Samuel Jackson. What's it? Eugene, what's he doing? And,
right.
You know, because he was the star of the movie with Samuel Jackson. In fact, he probably, you could consider him the lead in it. And, Samuel L. Jackson's such a strong personality.
Right.
And it was about basically Samuel Jackson is a cop, and Levy gets mistaken he's just in town. He's a dental equipment salesman.
Perfect.
And he ends up, being in some kind of, mob money transfer or something like that, or drug transfer.
Yeah.
And then and gets mistaken for someone else. So Samuel L. Jackson uses him, to solve all this stuff. And it's actually, the back and forth. You talk about team chemistry.
Right.
Man, they had it.
Yeah.
They really had it. So
I gotta check that out.
Yeah, I think you'll like it. I think you'll go, wow, I never knew this existed.
Yeah,
it's funny.
They don't make good comedies like that anymore. I think they try, but they're stifled by the wokeness. They made new Beverly Hills Cop, and Judge Reinhold is in it.
I saw the interview with all the three of them. Judge Reinhold, Eddie Murphy, and then the other guy, and the other detective. I can't think of his name.
I looked it up earlier. Is it Ashton? I'll check it out. But he's still they all look pretty good. Reinhold was talking about. Did you know that movie? He was on Rich Eisen. That movie, Beverly Hills Cop, was a Sylvester Stallone movie.
Yeah.
And then they called and had this other movie they wanted Stallone in. It was going to be an action movie, no comedy. And the director called or the producer and said, "Hey Sly, we got this other movie. We think this one is right for you. Cobra."
Yeah.
And he went off to make Cobra.
I saw the interview.
Yeah. And so then it was they saw Eddie Murphy in the one with, what's his name?
48 Hours.
48 Hours, yes.
Yeah. Nick Nolte.
With Nick Nolte. And that was like, okay, that's Axel Foley right there. And there's your guy. Reinhold also talked about the Close Talker on Seinfeld.
Yeah.
And he said it really made Jerry Seinfeld nervous because he's such a germaphobe.
That everybody was cracking up. Yeah.
I saw this still on that story. I saw the still shot of Judge Reinhold right up in Jerry's face, and I just couldn't quit laughing. It's just hilarious. But they, if you speaking of that comedy with Eugene Levy, they don't make comedies like that anymore. I'm anxious to see how much they poured into this new, Beverly Hills Cop. Eddie Murphy's funny enough, but, sometimes they kind of tone it down. And, they cut the budget for the fact that it's Netflix and everything else. They're not going to spend that kind of money. I don't think you have to. I think you just have to let comedy be comedy, and they don't do that anymore. Melissa McCarthy is somebody who's hilarious, and they need to let her also be in. I mean, she's just great on screen, and those silly comedies are, in my opinion, really great. I mean, they're, it's. I think it's what they go to movies for a lot of things, but I think it's one of those genres that people just love, and they don't do it anymore.
What was it, The Heat with Melissa McCarthy and Sandra Bullock?
Oh, my gosh. That was so good.
And they talked about it, that Melissa McCarthy doesn't curse at all.
Yeah, right.
And her character, all she does is
That's
curse
all she does.
left and right. And the opposite is Sandra Bullock.
Yeah.
Apparently curses all the time.
Right.
And in that movie was prim and proper and
right.
I guess you could say prissy.
Right, yeah.
And they said, it was really weird because, the camera would cut and Melissa McCarthy is so, gentle and Sandra Bullock's like, blankety, blanket, and then okay, here we go, action,
exactly.
And the complete opposite. By the way, with the Judge Reinhold, when he said he interviewed, because he said he had to go and meet Sly about that.
Sly had to approve him.
Right, exactly, and Judge Reinhold, it's all going to be great.
Hey, come on in.
You're the disease, I'm the cure. I didn't know that, though. I didn't know that Sylvester Stallone was, had Eddie Murphy's, character first.
Yeah, I don't know that. I mean, it obviously would have been a different character, I guess. I don't even know if it was called Axel Foley. It could have been. John Ashton is the other detective and the actor of and he's great. Right. I mean, he's just great in Beverly Hills Cop.
No, he is. He really is.
And I can't. It's every time someone says the word banana, I immediately go to Banana in the Tailpipe. It's just, because Eddie Murphy was on in that movie.
Yeah. He talked about it, that it was, they just said a potato doesn't cut, because that's the whole thing. It's normally a potato in the tailpipe.
Right. Yeah.
And they just went, no, it had to be a banana.
And it was so funny. And hopefully the new one is. I mean, I like all the players. It's great to see them back again. But I guess we'll see.
Oh man, and Disney, talking about movie, Disney's just getting burned. Can they come back? And I ask this because this is very personal to me for Disney, because I have a small pension that I get from.
So when you say, can they come back? Can they please come back? What you're saying is you're begging them to come back.
To put all the cards on the table here and show you the personal self-interest. I have a small pension, which comes every month.
I rolled mine over.
You did.
And yours is.
And I couldn't do it. You were able to roll it over, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
And so I've been collecting, I think monthly since I've been 62.
Right.
So there's a personal concern, but beyond that, can they every single time? And that was I forgot the guy way up in management saying, no, we won't hire white men or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And it's like getting burned by Project Veritas or whatever. And it's just like, man.
And I think this is the problem with entertainment in general. And, I had this incident that happened, it was Monday morning. I told you I was working in the yard when you were trying to call, and later I just finished the lawn and I'd been doing some other things, and a young man comes to the door, and he says, hey, I'm here in the neighborhood, and some people some of your neighbors are getting our service. We're a pest control company. And I said, well, I don't have a need for that, but thank you. And he stopped and he looked at me and goes, what do you do for a living? And I said, I'm on the radio. I'm in the media. And he goes, oh, because I'm a rapper. I'm an artist. And I've been trying to get my music out there. And we stood on my porch and we talked for a good 10 to 15 minutes. And the words that this young man used showed me what was in his heart. His name is Chaz. And I said, look, just get out there, get in front of people. He was able to do a live show in Florida and all these things. And I said, and today's world has changed. Don't worry about the record labels or anything else. You can create this content. But we had this great, it really just stuck with me because this young man he was just saying all the right things. He told me, he goes, I could move here or move there, but I just feel like I'd be getting involved in things that my family wouldn't approve of. And that just hit home, and you could tell. And I just thought, he's on the right path. He has the right heart and mind about it. And in creating content, as it relates to, your question about Disney, what they forget is that they're trying to appease and they forgot how to connect. And if you're doing it for the right reason, whatever the expression is, again, a good comedy movie, buddy comedy or something like that. In fact, it was, they did, what was it, Bad Boys 4 with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. And apparently it just crushed it at the box office. Well, those kind of things can still be made. But the thing is you don't have to spend $400 million in making a movie or making entertainment or making a TV show or all of this. You can, and I don't know that Disney will ever learn this. I don't know if the big studios will ever learn this without failing first. And because we see it like here in North Texas. There's a studio that's, setting up to make, more family-friendly type entertainment. And I think there's a market for that, but it doesn't necessarily have to be family-friendly. It just has to be the kind of entertainment where we can just shut the world out for whatever it is, a half hour for a TV show, a couple hours for a movie, and then laugh, or be taken on a ride like Tom Cruise in Top Gun 2. I mean, that's what we look for entertainment for. I was looking, in fact, last year about this time on our vacation. My granddaughters were watching The Breakfast Club, and it was so funny. And I walked through right as Anthony Michael Hall is saying that. Right before he said it, I said it. Chicks can't hold their smoke. That's what it is. And right after that, he said the line, and my granddaughters just busted out laughing.
Well,
and that's the thing, is that it kind of, they've lost their ability.
Well, just produce good movies. I mean, Miracle was a Disney movie.
Yeah.
With Kurt Russell on the U.S. Olympic 1980 hockey team. What a wonderful film. Right. But when I thought about this after the Project Veritas thing in the interview, I'm like, they're just not learning. They're just not learning. And you make a great point. Will the major entertainment complexes have to fail completely and be replaced because they just refuse to do the right thing to make money? Because their job is to make money, not to promote a political agenda.
Exactly. We'll show up every time. The Top Gun thing was a perfect example.
Yes, perfect.
Because they held off on that movie. I remember I was in Tahoe when they were in town filming or setting up the film. They weren't filming yet. And when we left there, there's a few scenes that were filmed in that area. And then COVID hit. And Tom Cruise said, no, we're not going to do anything else but wait. When the theaters open back up, we're in. Then he waited, and we went.
Yep. Great movie.
Yep.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up on the top of the hour, the debate. Also, you saw
presidential debate.
You saw Bowman lost in New York City.
Oh, that's just so sad.
Can I ask a question? What the hell was he and AOC, what in the hell were they doing?
I don't. You mean the jumping around
The
thing?
jumping around?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, they're nuts.
I don't know. It's just, yeah, I don't know. It was weird.
Now, Bowman lost. I just can't think of the guy's name who was a challenger, but the real delusional lost to the delusional because his challenger who won is pro-Israel but believes in the two-state solution.
Yeah, Latimer. Yeah,
Latimer.
Yeah.
So he's delusional.
Yeah,
I mean,
delusional.
it's like, so the super delusional versus a delusional is the choice with Democrats right now.
Exactly.
I mean, my God.
Top of the hour news is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the world, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thanks for being here this morning.
Thank you.
As always. Yeah, so Bowman lost. And like I said, the mega delusional to just the delusional now is where it's going for that particular district. Mm-hmm. I just shook my head and went, oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
And they said, well, you see the analysis of it, and it's like, okay, yeah, this is because he is so radical, and he's pro-Hamas. Bowman was. Jamaal Bowman here. George Latimer defeated him. The most expensive House race in history. Mm-hmm. Primary House race in history.
Yeah.
Total of $23 million for a particular House race. The race was called less than a half hour after the polls closed. Remember, he's the one that pulled the fire alarm, Jamaal Bowman.
Yeah.
But whatever that dance that he was doing with AOC was just weird.
Just weird.
Yeah, very weird. But and I say they've gone from the mega delusional to the delusional is because Latimer, believes in the two-state solution. Mm-hmm. He supports Israel but believes in the two-state solution.
Yeah.
Nobody believes in the two-state solution. Not Israel, not Hamas.
Exactly.
The
two would-be states.
Yes, the two would-be states don't believe in the two would-be states. It'd almost be like saying, well, I support the two-state solution in Oregon, where those eastern states, want to secede, and become part of Idaho, but it would be saying that if there was no effort to secede,
right. Well, it's the equivalent of going in and saying, why don't you both just agree to disagree?
Right. And that was my first thought. And now I will say, when I first read it, it's like, and Latimer, takes the pro-Israel side, but believes in the two-state solution. Well, then he's not really taking the pro-Israel side, is he?
Exactly.
Because nobody wants the two-state solution.
Right.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
And Boebert won, in the new district that she is in. One of the things I saw on social media, and I think it was on the National Review blog, and a lot of conservatives are not, a Boebert fan, and said, can't believe that she won. And somebody wrote, they said, look, she can be really immature. But the fact is, she votes on the issues the way that the Republicans want her to vote on the issues.
Yeah.
And it's that simple.
Right. Well, no, it's a great point. Who she is, how she behaves, and we can have our men, and we have, over the nearly 19 years, about a number of people in the GOP and how they behave and what they've done. But you've got to have that. You got to have that vote. You got to have the numbers. And look, I don't know if she won the primary. I don't know if she's learned a lesson. I don't know. But on the votes, she has to be there. You and I look at it and say, let's quit trying to create the viral moment for yourself, trying to be something, on social media, and be a representative for your constituents in your district. And let's see if that happens. And can we not, please, not grope in front of Beetlejuice? Don't do that again. And
now, forget about the groping. The fact that she went to Beetlejuice, for me personally, is disqualifying.
Well, it'd be okay, I guess, if it were the movie, like a special showing of the movie. But there's a live. It's not Michael Keaton. And you bought tickets, or the fact that you went, probably given tickets, or maybe won the tickets. I don't know. Maybe there was a raffle. But let's, when you step back from it, I think that probably also relates to possibly what the reckoning is with Trump, because clearly I think there has been, as of late, a reckoning. I think most of it is driven by the lawfare. But also, look, I've got one shot. I get 4 more years if I win. First, we got to win, and we need the party to be on board. I need the House and the Senate, because I think he knows. Look, at that first midterm, good chance that we lose one or both of the House or Senate. So we really got 2 years, and we need to get things done, and that needs to be my legacy. And we'll see if
you're
that,
talking Trump now.
Yes,
just to make
Trump.
people know we moved on from Boebert.
Yeah, that's and that's the idea, and that's the reckoning that Trump is, maybe part of the reckoning that Trump has had. And that is, all right, you see endorsements where it's like, will that be enough? I tend to believe it will be for his part. Now, Boebert and people like that are going to have to step up and do, again, a better job if in this, if Trump wins in this next Trump administration during those years. And I don't care that they, everybody says, well, they all have to, the party needs to come together and get along. I don't need them to get along. I don't need them to agree. What I need them to do is not make it about them. If they're fighting for something, make sure that it's about something that's going to serve your constituents. And if you're going to have that, then you don't burn the house down because you didn't like the way that dinner tasted. You didn't like the way that you didn't like something that was said at the table. You don't have to, pick the speaker out. There's not a perfect speaker of the House. You're not going to get that. There is no unicorn. So all of that has to come together and basically work it out in the hallways. I don't need you to agree all the time, but I just ask that you not burn the house down.
Well, and don't burn the house down when you don't own the house.
Exactly. That's a great point.
Then that's the thing that we had said all along about, McCarthy, or as you said, there is no. If you listen to our show, you know that we can vote for somebody and disagree with them the day after as to what they're doing. And, and there should be no problem doing it. Nothing has to be tribal. But when you sit there and say, well, we've got to get rid of the Speaker of the House because he won't do this, knowing that you can't get that win because you don't have the votes, it's an exercise in futility. Right. First rule of politics, you got to have the numbers to win. If you don't have the numbers to sit there and have this infighting about what you're going to do that's going to fail either way, doesn't get you anywhere.
Exactly.
Focus on getting the win. And I do think, because now we can morphing into the debate that's coming up, and how Trump is doing so far in the campaign. I think that Trump is doing the best that he can do. We've said before that we don't think that Trump is doing the best that he could do, but on the interviews that he's having, when he sits down one-on-one, he's talking policy.
Yeah.
Now, and the other thing that the left is looking at, this is where Trump, look at him here at the rally here, and he's ad-libbing and sort of, Trump's ad-libbing the entire thing.
Right. Yeah.
He's out there ad-libbing, well, maybe not the entire thing, but he's ad-libbing and going off script constantly, and many times he just ad-libs.
Yep.
And that's a raw meat. That's called the raw meat for your base.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be completely different, and it has been completely different. It didn't used to be as different when he would do an interview. Now it's different. Now, can he bring the question that people are asking? Can he bring that to the debate? Because when you sit there, I mean, over the last few days, when I haven't talked but have just observed, I find it interesting that Trump and the surrogates are going crazy about Jake Tapper. And I got mind blank on the other.
Oh, the other moderator?
Caitlin Collins?
Yes, Collins.
Collins. Going going crazy on the fact that they're not Trump fans. Well, then you shouldn't have agreed to it.
Yeah, I said that I played the audio yesterday morning after we talked to you, and it's it's a video. We played the audio from the video that the Trump campaign put out there, and brought that point up. Look, if your approach is anytime, anywhere, and I don't even care who the moderators are, all right, fine, but then don't make a big deal about the moderators. And it's a given. Our audience didn't need to hear all the times that Jake Tapper went after Trump. I played it as a reminder, and the fact that it was a Trump, it was edited down to,
I'm sorry,
a couple of minutes.
Dana Bash. I don't know why.
Was it Dana Bash? Okay,
Dana, I don't even know why. Sorry, I've been off the air, and my mind is still trying to get back to work, trying to get back on the right sleep pattern again.
Yeah.
Dana Bash.
Yeah, all right.
And you and I said originally, he should have negotiated more and said, I agree to everything. I agree. But understand that none of this is about substance. It's all about trying to position yourself for, in the debate. People know the differences between Biden and Trump. This is being played of, who does better, who has the better performance in it. And you and I had said from the very beginning that Trump didn't have to agree to this.
Right.
Trump could have said, no, I want to debate.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not, when I said anywhere, any place, I didn't say anyone.
Yeah.
And I didn't say the fact that, okay, let's get two Biden supporters, to be the ones. Absolutely, they're not journalists, they're opinion makers. And they're absolutely pro-Biden and absolutely anti-Trump. You're the one that agreed to it immediately. Maybe you shouldn't have agreed to it.
Yeah.
Unless he believes, this would be the other option, he believes that having 3 against 1 will actually work for him. The problem is, as we have stated all along, I wouldn't be surprised that until, I think they heard what George Stephanopoulos said, until Trump answers the questions on January 6th, I wouldn't go to any other question.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, all right, that's the only thing that they believe they have is January 6th. Mm-hmm. The reason Stephanopoulos said that is because they know that on every single issue, the Democrats can't win. And so when you make it where you've got 3 against 1, they can sit there and dominate on the stuff that they wish to dominate. It's one of the things that you and I said a long time ago. One of the reasons that I decided really not to do any, interviews. I used to do a lot of interviews and everything else is because what it's become, if you go on these networks, is set up questions. Mm-hmm. The premise is wrong. I would have a hard time doing any interview because we'd never get to my answer because I would tell them the premise of the question is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because the premise of a question and how you initiate the question, and the leading question, Gary, you've been accused of being a racist, and you've been accused of being a racist because you don't believe in racism. So tell us why you're not a racist.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure throwing that out as an absurd question, but that's the kind of thing that you get.
Right.
And we said no. He should have said, nope, I want somebody who's, if you're going to pick two people that are anti-Trump, that's not going to flow. If you want to pick one person anti-Trump, one person pro-Trump, that's fine, because you're not picking anchors here. These are not anchors. These are opinion makers.
Right. Yeah.
It's not like it's not like you're going and getting Tim Russert.
Right.
The late Tim Russert, by the way.
Right.
Yeah, just
and the fair and balanced Chris Wallace.
No, but they're all opinion, but they're not. They're all opinion makers. Even if their title is anchor, they're not.
That's the point I was making last night. They slip into, they call themselves journalists.
Yeah.
And slip into an anchor position and say they're a journalist while doing nothing but issuing opinion.
Right.
I don't mind that they issue opinion. But you're not an anchor. You're not a journalist.
But if he goes in there and just says January 6th was terrible, yes, we've got many questions about the election, but they're going to ask him over and over again, was the election stolen? Was the election stolen? Was the election stolen? Expect that to happen over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And if he says the election is rigged, rigged is different than stolen.
Mm-hmm.
And as we know, Republicans have moved, even Trump has moved from stolen to rigged. So they're going to want him to, all right, you say rig, is rig the same as stolen?
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole thing is, if you can get the emphasis of the first 20 minutes on trying to pound Trump on that, and he's hesitating back and forth, they view that as a weakness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you get when you say, okay, I'll agree to 3-1, 3-on-1.
Mm-hmm.
And you never really get to the issues, or people finally have said at that point, well, listen, the first 20 minutes, it's the same thing over and over again, click.
No, I think the ratings would plummet if they stay on one thing. If they stay on the one topic, it plummets.
Do they care?
I don't know. I can't tell you. But I think the initial ratings are going to be huge, because I think people are going to tune in to find out if Biden can be up there for 90 minutes.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Smart owner-operators make every single week as profitable as possible. One trip is not enough time to be considered profitable or unprofitable, and an entire month may be too much time to manage. 1 week is the right amount of time to deal with efficiently. To do so, look at the advantages and disadvantages of every day of the week. Match trip length to the optimum day of the week. Plan to deliver on the day you have the best opportunity of getting a load. Your personal weekly plan will vary depending on the weekly delivery flow cycle of your region, typical length of haul, personal requirements, and other factors. What's important is to have a specific weekly plan that helps you be successful. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics. Brought to you by Shell Rotella, with advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So, for example, because I guarantee the first thing's going to be about, for Trump, about the rigged stolen election. You know they're going to pound on that because they don't have anything else. If Trump comes out and says, look, just look at yesterday, the election in 2020, when you look at what happened, when you look right now what the House just came out with, the investigation, the Biden campaign is the one that went to 51. They're the ones, Blinken went to Mike Morrell, and that letter would have never been written. That letter that tainted the 2020 election That tainted the 20, when they came out and said that that was Russia disinformation, that was started through the Biden campaign, through Mike Morrell.
Yep.
And that's what just came out this week, as we know from the investigation of Congress. We knew about it already, but officially it's there now.
Right.
When I talk about rigging, that's what I'm talking about.
Yep.
When I talk about, and then you go through all the different things of the executive orders put in that the courts have overturned, and you say, that's what I mean by rigging. You don't. You answer the question the way that you've been answering the question over the last 6 months to a year.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And bring those new facts in, or
Right.
those new confirmation of facts in.
Yes.
The show that never stops. Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Download our Red Eye Radio app today. Listen when and where you want if you can't listen live overnight to one of our great radio stations that carries our show, and thank you for carrying our show for all these years.
And thank you. Here's a question I have about Biden's performance. And I asked this question last night, but I want to run it by you.
Well, can I just finish the one point? Just
on the Trump thing.
Yeah, just finish this one point, then go right to this about Trump, because he doesn't have to make it complicated. He doesn't have to make it long.
Mm-hmm.
All you want to do is pull out the two biggest things over the last couple of years. That when you say, look, it was rigged. I'm talking about election interference that came from the Democrats, and that came, that actually came from the Democrats. And number one, the election interference in 2020 that the polls show I would have won.
Yeah.
People would not have. Remember the poll came out, what was it? 17% of people said they wouldn't have voted for Biden if they would have known about the laptop, whatever.
Yeah.
And so, but number one, my evidence of rigging. It just came out the other day from the House. We've known it to begin with. The Biden administration, Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State, communicated with Mike Morrell. And they are the ones, the Biden administration got the 51 intelligence agents, contractors, whatever, the spies, spooks, whatever, to say that it was Russia disinformation. They made that up. It was a lie. We know it was a lie. And Jake Tapper, you went along with it, and you reported the lie.
You were part of the lie. And this is how you and I were talking during the break. This is how we would approach it, because in the 2020 debate, when Chris Wallace was asking Biden about Charlottesville, and he basically omitted the important part that would put it into context of what Trump said, we would have, if we were Trump, we would have said, hey, Chris, you just lied to the American people. And you can do that here if they bring that up. You stay on the laptop situation, because if you look at Zuckerberg, if you look at the Twitter files and what we learned there, by the way, from liberal reporters who are actual journalists, Jake and Jack, and if you look at what we learned from all of that, what do you have? Add to it, like you said, 17% saying they would vote differently.
Right.
All of those things.
Well, I'm not.
Yeah, that's rigging.
Right, but you want to put it, I said, just this week, Snopes came out. After all these years, how many years is this? To tell people the Charlottesville thing, I never said that. I've been saying I never said that.
Right.
I was right. That's something that you promoted, Jake Tapper, and CNN promoted for all these years. Now, you don't use my voice I'm using. You say, Jake Tapper, that's the stuff that you guys promoted all this time. And then let's go to the Russia collusion hoax. We all know the Hillary campaign paid for the disinformation that all for the dossier that said I was doing all these things with Russia. It was all false, and your network and you, Jake Tapper, and you, Dana Bash, went along with it the entire time. Realize here that I'm not just debating him. I'm debating you and your network, because you and your network, you put out false information and lies about me for the last 4 years. I'm done. I want to give the rest of my time to Joe.
Exactly. And I would stay on that because
You stay
when it comes to, the election, was it rigged? Of course it was rigged. Look at it. Look at all the evidence we have now. And now the story coming out that as it relates to Morell and the laptop, that some of those people that signed that letter, those 51, were actually CIA contractors at the time.
Yeah, the New York Post story, some of the 51 spies who lie were active CIA contractors when they claimed files from first son Hunter Biden's laptop had the classic earmarks of Russia disinformation ahead of the 2020 election, a fact that was uneasily noted inside the agency, records acquired by the Post show. Former CIA acting director Mike Morell, who previously told Congress he organized the October 19, 2020 letter to give Joe Biden a talking point ahead of the debate against then Donald Trump, was under contract with the CIA at the time, the agency said. Ex-agency Inspector General David Buckley also was a contractor at the time of the letter, according to an interim report from 2 House committees investigating the matter, and records suggest that at least 2 other letter signers may have had active contracts at the time with the CIA. The terms of the contracts and compensation were not immediately clear. Morell flatly denied he was a contractor when contacted by the Post, writing Tuesday in an email, "If you write that, you would be wrong." Morell doubled down in a second email, writing, "I can't speculate on why he was listed as such by the agency he once led," and insisting it was wrong. A congressional source provided the Post with the CIA's document outing Morell as a contractor after his denial. So, I mean, you go on to all of that. But the fact is, it was initiated by Anthony Blinken at that time, who was part of, as we know, the Biden campaign.
Right.
And you leave it at that because that's the only thing that they can bring up against Trump. Every other thing is an issue that Biden can't win.
Right. Yeah. And
what was the point you wanted to bring up then?
Well,
on
then
Biden. Yeah.
There's the endurance test, basically, that is the 90-minute debate. So something that hit me. Imagine he has a moment where he's freezing. Obama's not going to be on stage next to him to pull him out of that. And what do you do if they quickly go to a break because of that? Let's give the candidates a break and we'll go to them. We'll be right back. The debate at that point is lost and won by Trump. There is no way to sugarcoat that. And I don't know what else you would do. What is Jake Tapper going to stand up and clap his hands and try and snap him out of it? No. The go-to is to go to a break. The only move you have in a situation like that is go to a break suddenly. And if they do that, if they're in a moment, I don't know if it'll happen. But if that happens, it's over for Biden. And that goes back to the Rasmussen Reports poll that I had yesterday, and that showed that, and the one note from that poll, 34% of Democrats said it's Biden's last chance. Otherwise, someone else has to, step in. I mean, I don't know what someone else stepping in looks like because you got to get Biden to agree to step down, and I don't know what that looks like. So it would be horrific, but at that point, that is what will make the news. Nothing else from the debate will make the news.
I think to begin and end almost every question on an issue, that Trump should do what we have advised for the last 6 months, which is understand as we talk about this next issue, when we talk about immigration, the Biden administration can't and won't solve the problem because they created the problem.
Right.
And this is what they want. They want chaos at the border.
Right.
They want chaos in the city, in the cities with crime. They want chaos in the world. And then you give the answer to that specific question on it.
Yeah.
And then you say, but remember, Democrats can't, and Biden can't solve the problem because he created the problem. Biden and the Democrats created the problem. They don't wish to solve it. I don't care whether they tell you they wish to solve it, or I don't care if this week they say, illegal immigration is down at the border this week. We all know that they created the problem, and all the problems will be back again to full bore if he's reelected again. We all know that. He created because the whole thing is he has to, and you can do it in a calm voice, he has to enrage Biden. It is 3 against 1.
That's the most important thing. You hit on that earlier and just now. It is key. I won't say it's the most important thing. It's key. Because go back and watch Trump over the years on Donahue, Larry King, any of those. You can find it all on YouTube. The interviews. That demeanor. Because that, at the end of every one of those appearances, you're going to run? You're going to run? You're going to run? Because, and he had been saying, we've talked about this, he's been saying the same things on policy, other nations have to pay their way, that kind of thing. And he's been consistent on a number of things over the years, but the tone was, that of a celebrity being interviewed on Larry King. And you can have conviction within that tone, and you don't worry about, because what they want is the soundbite. What they want is, as you mentioned earlier, they want you, they're going to give you this ridiculous question so that the answer is the soundbite, and also the tone and your mannerisms. Don't give that to them. And redirects, by the way, too. You control what you say. They don't. Don't engage and stay on point. And with any question regarding the election of 2020, go back to the laptop every time. It's about the laptop. Make it about the laptop. Make it about Hunter. Make it about Hunter. Make it about Hunter. Make it about Hunter and the laptop. And the laptop is about Joe. We know that.
Right.
But when you bring that up, when you bring up Hunter's name, Biden's going to get defensive.
Right, and when you bring up the fact that we all know Joe Biden enriched his family through influence peddling, you say that.
Yep.
You say that. Otherwise, why do these? Because you've got to attack him. And just got a message from one listener saying it's not going to make a difference. Everybody knows that Biden is out of it and can't do it. You never approach. That may be the case. You never approach a debate that way. You always approach every debate and every campaign as if you're down by 20 points.
Exactly.
You don't take anything for granted.
Right.
Until that election is over, until the day after the election is over, or 6 months later when California finally gets the tally in.
Next summer when New York and California report their results.
Yes. But you never take anything for granted. That is not, you never sit there and say, this thing's easy, don't worry about it. You always worry until the election is over. And you always act as if you're down by 20 points.
Exactly. Because one misstep can be, it's not going to be, I don't think Trump is going to have a Howard Dean moment. Yeah. But you've got to stay on point. Where we are right now, there is, I think, a clear contrast between the two individuals. Trump is, that Rasmussen Reports poll that showed the overwhelming majority of people thought that Biden would have a problem because of his age, and then but there were still like 32% that thought Trump would. And I'm like, no, not because of his age. There's you stay, that contrast will be clear to most people, but you've got to also stay on point on the issues and on your answers. You control what you say. They don't.
866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. And I'll say one thing. The interviews that Trump has been doing, I think, probably will help him a lot in the debate because it seems the contrast between the interviews and the rallies.
Yeah.
Now, understand rallies are different, and any to me successful politician understands that a rally is a red meat for your base, and the interviews, everything else is about getting independence. And if he can hold on to that, and he approaches it with that attitude, and does, I think, make the accusations against CNN where they've been part of it.
Yeah.
Because remember, you're going to be ganged up on. You have to assume you're going to be ganged up on, and it's 3-1.
I think that's part of the strategy of them, the campaign putting out that stuff ahead of time. Hey,
yes.
This is why I need to demonstrate this because there's no doubt this is the way it's going to go on Thursday night. But I think, too, part of the benefit, too, is going to be the fact-checking after the case. I don't know how much Glenn Kessler is going to be paying attention. But at the Washington Post, if he's still there, there's been a lot of turnover there recently. But the fact-checking on any claims by Trump is going to be just fast and furious. And we'll probably see some of that by the time we get in here that night, Thursday night into Friday morning. And it would, okay, here are the facts. And then, of course, on Biden's, it's kind of, it could go either way. It might be partly true or not. And then with Trump, it's going to be, most people think it's false. Well, the fact of the matter is we do our own fact-checking now. And the American people now can look it up and say, is that true? And the Trump campaign will probably have plenty of things ready to send out, too, right after the debate saying, hey, here are the facts, here are the facts, here are the facts. And people can find them, do their own fact-checking on their own.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across the USA and around the planet Earth, we are Red Eye Radio. Good morning. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right, let me just relate this. This is a thought I had. With my experience of actually getting a plane that was delayed. By the way, that plane was delayed for over 25 and a half hours. And this is, I wasn't in yesterday because the first time ever because of mechanical problems in my 50 years of flying that I couldn't get into the next day because there wasn't a seat available on the busiest travel day ever in American history. Monday was that I found out. But just the problem with technology and getting more information. So I'm getting ready on Monday to take the 6:40 flight out that gets me into Dallas by 8:30 in the morning, 8:45. All right.
Right.
And therefore, and I've done it many times before, and 12 hours pass, over 12 hours, I go to work that midnight. Yeah. And for most people, that's like coming in. If you got to work the next morning, it's like taking a night flight and you got to work the next morning.
Yeah.
With our time schedule.
Right.
So they, when we get in there, the flight's on time and everything else, and all of a sudden they delay it by 3 hours and 20 minutes to 10 a.m. And so we start asking the people there, and I know other employees there, and I get the information that this is a Monday morning flight. And because of the apps and technology and smartphones, they now let you know what the incoming flight is.
Yeah.
You can, like, if I take a night flight, I start following my plane early in the morning to see if it's going to be late. Mm-hmm. And you see, okay, it's been delayed there 20 minutes. Oh, okay, they caught up in the air. Then you can just keep all that information in your head. Well, everybody knew that the plane had come in the day before at 3:30 in the afternoon on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And the employees told us they knew of the problem at that time. They knew there was a electrical battery problem at that time.
Yeah.
And when we got there, thinking the plane was going to be on time and leave it at 6:40 in the morning, they come on and tell us, well, it's not going to be fixed because the maintenance crew doesn't come in until 10 a.m.
Wow.
Well, I'm sorry. Because of the access to information, people are ticked off. What do you mean? A plane comes in at 3:30 in the afternoon? You know it's got a problem? You don't sit there and call us. Everybody comes in. We're waiting for the plane. Then you delay it 3 hours and 20 minutes, which then they delayed it for, till from 10 a.m. to noon to 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. To 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. and then eventually till the next day at 8:15 p.m. or 8:15 a.m. when it finally took off. Now, that's new to me. I've never seen a plane delayed that long. That seems to be something recent in airlines. Every other experience I've ever had in my life is if a plane is out for that day, it's canceled. And that's interesting to find that out.
Yeah.
But the fact is people had access to information and said, what do you mean? You made us wait here. There was no reason for us to wait.
Right.
And what do you mean something breaks at 3:30 and you can't even take a look at a plane? Knowing what it's going to cost the airlines, with hotel vouchers. From when I could get, the majority of people flying on that plane were not, from Buffalo. They were from other places. So many people visiting relatives, staying in hotels, going to view Niagara Falls. Mm-hmm. And they were ticked.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow, how does management allow that to happen? How something that you and I would look at or anybody else would look at that been in the business world and say, that's unacceptable. You can't do that. And because now the customer has access to information that you've given them, they know where you've fallen short and they're questioning why. Right. And the employees, what I wrote, because this is the best part of it. Because when I put it out, and I wrote this on Twitter, always an adventure here at the Buffalo airport at 4 a.m. to catch a 6:40 American airline direct flight to DFW. Flight is delayed till 10 a.m. for a minor maintenance issue, which they said at the time it was. It apparently wasn't, but they thought it was at the time. Couldn't be fixed right now, but maintenance, or could be fixed right now, but maintenance doesn't start their day until 10 a.m. We were told they knew of the issue when the plane landed yesterday. Smooth operation you have here, American Airlines, is what I put.
Right.
First time ever I've ever complained.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
Because it was just so, because what I saw, what made me go, wow, was the employees were ticked off. The employees were ticked off that the passengers, this is the gate people and others were ticked off that this plane was there. They look at it and go, this isn't a productive way to run the whole thing. And so, because I tagged American Airlines on X, somebody always gets back to you.
Oh, yeah.
And so I got a representative, like the lead representative, whatever. It said, could you please give us your ticket number, this, and explain to us what the problem is? I go, I just did in the post. Read the post.
Right.
And their response was, we'll set you up with another customer service representative. So then the next customer service representative comes along and says, could you please give us your ticket number? Your ticket number, whatever the other, the ticket number, locator number, where you're traveling, your email, this, and tell us what your issue is. I go, you've got the issue. It's the post.
Right.
It's the post.
That's why you're responding to me.
Right. It's why you're responding to me.
Yeah.
They comes back to me, and this is like 45 minutes later. Comes back to me and says, well, maybe it wasn't 45 minutes later. I don't want to confuse that. I don't want to accuse them of something that they didn't do. I don't know what the time span was. But comes back to me again, and after I explained to him, this is the issue, and then I made a copy of the post. I go, here's the copy of the post that I wrote. He goes, well, thank you so much. If you could give us access to all the information that we originally asked for, then hopefully we can help you resolve the problem.
I just did. Again.
So after 3 times of doing it and saying, you know what the problem is, I put it there, and you're going back like you've got a template of this is a template and we must stick to the template no matter what the issue is. I just said, sorry, this is useless. It's an exercise in futility. I'm done.
Yep.
And nobody ever got back to me like, well, look, we want to solve this. It was like, nope, you didn't fit the template. We're going to move on. I mean, it's just.
Yeah. That's insane. And again, it sounds like, okay, let's automate as much as we can. Right? This is going to be the response. And that's the protocol. And we don't let humans override the protocol. Because clearly, if those employees were frustrated, then they're thinking in their mind, we could have solved this. So that reeks of something that is okay, here's our protocol and it's in place and these are the things that are going to happen and there is no override of that. And in terms of customer response, that's exactly what that's somebody sitting at a desk. They're doing nothing but social media response. And they're not getting, and the thing is, you're not filling out their form. Well, they should be able to, a human should be able to respond and go, no, I completely understand. And let me look into this and then have a conversation, with whoever, my boss, whatever, and get back to you and say, we greatly apologize. Here's the voucher or whatever it is.
Now, I already knew because I went to the app, there were no seats.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like, so you're waiting it out a little bit because the last thing you want to do is book a flight for the next day, knowing I could have gotten out at 1 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So I waited until they moved it till, I think it was 7 o'clock that night, which had to be 1 or 1:30 or 2 p.m. I've been at the airport since 3:45.
Mm.
Or I just said, okay, and that's when I called customer service, and I guess, what am I, super platinum mega plus, or I don't know what it is, but I'm second from the top in the amount of miles that you put in.
Mm.
So I called that number immediately. Somebody there, human being, took care of me. They were great. When I talked to somebody there, they took care of me completely. Now, they got me on a flight. I ended up changing that flight to the direct flight in the morning because I can do it on the app, which is great. That's all wonderful. But it's like when you post something and you say, look, guys, this is a problem, and they just follow a template and refuse to acknowledge, what's your statement? Because I really didn't have a question. It was more of a statement that I made.
Well, it makes me wonder if it was AI responding to you.
That's a great point. I didn't even think about that until you brought it up.
Because
before.
if you're not giving AI the response, then it would, because I would think if they're using AI, then there should be a form. It should say, listen, we can help you, but and we recognize your post. That's why we're here. But what we need from you to help you further is to fill out this form. Because if you're going to do that, then AI is going to have a certain, the algorithm is going to be based on certain items that are in there and keywords.
Well, I did fill it out and give them the information the first time.
Okay, there was a form, online form? Yeah.
No. You sent it to them. You just filled out what they wanted and sent it back to them.
Okay. All right.
And, so I gave them the locate. I didn't have the ticket number. It's like nobody has a ticket number on an app.
Right.
Ticket number. I'm not going back. Here's a locator number, which they can get from the locator number.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I don't know why it applies because I'm not asking you to book me on something. There are no flights the rest of the day, so I'm holding off on that.
And that tells me, in fact, that convinces me more that it's AI.
Yeah.
Because your post is similar to somebody who's waiting to get booked on another plane.
Right. And I didn't have a question for them. I just put a statement out and tagged them to see what the response would be.
Yeah. Right.
But when I talked to a human, they were great. And they got me on a flight the next day. I changed it to the earlier direct flight when a seat came up on that one because that's what happens. You sit there and you're obsessed on the phone every 5 minutes checking to see, if because it will. If there's one seat that comes up, boom.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden on the one direct flight yesterday, like 10 seats came up all of a sudden.
Wow.
And I booked it, and I'm like, okay, got I got my aisle row seat. I'm happy, and it was all worked out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not blaming them for the fact that there wasn't a seat on another plane the rest of the day. That's not their fault.
It's the response.
And I'm not blaming them for having a battery electrical problem.
Right.
I'm blaming them because we can do the most complicated things in our society. We can solve the most complicated problems, but we can't communicate effectively. That frustrates me.
Yeah. Yeah,
because
communication is everything.
That should be the easy part for any company.
Yep.
Look, when you run a company where an airline, that's a damn tough business. Mm-hmm. It really is. And so you can handle so many of the tough things. I know people complain about the airlines. I don't when it comes to traveling, because I look back at what it was 100 years ago and say, you're a little bit inconvenient that you can afford to fly somewhere, even if you're a little bit packed in and you get somewhere in a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Then in the old days, for my father, number one, it would have been so expensive if you would have tried to flown in the 30s on the, I can't think of it. Was it DC-3? Was that the first one? But odds are you're going by car. And so it's going to take you, then remember the road system at that time, how long it would take you, and before cars, go back 150 years ago.
Well,
my God.
And back in the day, that you would travel by car, you better pack some sandwiches.
A lot of them.
McDonald's had one location.
That's a great point, yeah. And so you look at it, the convenience, I don't complain. I'm amazed how they're able to run those businesses and do everything that they do and how they're able to handle all of that. But then what seems to me the most basic communication with your customer, you can't do.
And it should be more intuitive, even if they're running AI. AI should recognize, well, wait a minute, this is a human responding here. I need to involve now a human to respond to this person because it's not giving me the answer that I need to help them.
Yeah, because
that's something that, again, it's the core of communication.
Well, yeah, after I wrote it, should have been, well, at 3:30, we don't have any, at Buffalo, we don't have any mechanics on the weekend.
Right.
And by union rules, they can only work 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Wow.
But they're not going to tell you that if that's the case.
Right.
Because that looks horrible to the customer.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sitting here, and you don't view this as an emergency? Because, you think about the vouchers they had to give out, the hotel vouchers, and the cost to them, and they're like, well, you won't pay overtime to bring the guy or gal in, the mechanics in early?
Right.
You can't do this? So a plane sits there for 24 hours, and all the disruption across the entire system, that's how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it as not just the situation I was going through, but you and I always analyze things as, how does this business run?
Mm-hmm. Right.
You don't run a business that way.
Well, in now we're in the era of you're gonna fly, every plane is full, so you're running really tight routes.
Yeah.
And there needs to be a remedy that's a lot tighter than what that was.
Yeah, if I'm a CEO, I don't wait.
Yeah.
I don't wait for 15 hours before something can be looked at as a mechanical problem. You want a quicker response to that.
Yep.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thank you for being here. Coming up more on the debate. on Thursday. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. It really, really will. Also, we'll get did you see James Carville? Biden should agree to a drug test if Trump will take a rabies test. He's lost it, Have you seen it? I can't even play any of his audio cuts because it's MF this and MF that. He's just losing it completely.
Yeah. There is no strategy in anything he's saying anymore. And I think part of the reason he's losing it is because he knows his side is losing. He knows. Trump saying, hey, I'll take a drug test if Biden will. Yeah, no problem. And look, they're not going to test Biden.
No,
not going to happen. And
it's to keep that in the ear of the American public, because if he comes out and he's completely different than what the public, if he's bad, the American public will say, okay, that's what we've thought all along.
If he blinks, if he blinks 4 times in the 90 minutes, we'll know.
Yeah. And if he's too amped up, then people are going to be suspicious that he's on something. Look, one of the problems that they have is, I don't know any president that had a debate coming up that didn't continue campaigning.
In fact, you're trying to build it up to make your points. You're almost pre-debating when you're
right.
When you get out there, you rally your side, the whole thing. You're trying to do that, and and also gain your momentum going into the debate. But yeah,
I mean, you're still doing debate training,
right.
Debate prep, but
right.
You're doing rallies at night.
Yep.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Man, I love this one. You ready for this?
All right.
I saw this. Where is this from? From Birmingham, Alabama. Here we go.
Okay.
Channel 10 there. Everyone should keep their thermostat at 80 degrees when it's 100 outside.
Yeah.
It's that season. Yes, summertime, but also my light bill will be higher than usual season. However, a power company recommendation is that everyone should be using the 20-degree rule this summer. Anthony Cook with Alabama Power said that everyone should keep their thermostat at 80 degrees when it's 100 outside. He said the rule is based on industry standards for the way most air conditioners are designed. He said your AC unit will typically lower the temperature in your home about 20 degrees from what the temperature is outside. This means that if it's 100 degrees outside, most homes will only get down to around 80 degrees. So when you're setting your thermostat while you're at home, you'll want to keep this in mind. So if you live in Phoenix and it gets up to 115, make sure that you keep your thermostat at 95.
In fact, you want to turn your heater on to 95.
Yes.
To make sure that it's running at its best.
Cook said you can set your thermostat for a lower temperature, but it might not help. You'll end up spending more money in the lot. Well, of course you're going to spend more money.
Well, okay. So I've had AC techs tell me this a few times. And then one actually told me the truth. I'm sure there are others that would do that. And that is, well, that assumes that your house has poor insulation. That assumes a lot of things about that your house is drafty, has old windows, and that you haven't done your due diligence when it comes to insulating your house and protecting it from losing that energy that you're using inside to cool or heat. My house performs far outside that 20-degree thing.
So does mine.
And a lot of homes do, especially modern homes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your house was built, what, how many years ago?
17 years ago.
17 years ago?
Yeah.
Mine is 56 years old with a lot of upgrades just since I've been in it. I've upgraded my AC systems twice, and all the ductwork in it, all of it, insulation like you wouldn't believe, and I'm still doing more all the time. Because I'm not putting my thermostat when it gets to 109 in August at 89. Shut up and get out.
I will say this: if my house is at, because I'll just because I it's a temperature that I like, and everybody is different, and so once the temperature gets up to about 100, my house during the day goes up to about 78. And what happens is, I think I told you a long time ago,
Now, you set it there, or that's the best it will be?
No. I set it at 78.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
If it's 100 out and I come in at 72, I'm freezing. But I like to sleep in the cold. I sleep much better.
Yeah.
In my master bedroom, I'm very blessed that I have the ceiling fan and the air conditioning duct, the vent, is two of them. I can aim them right for the top of the ceiling fan, and it blows it right down on me. So, because when I go to sleep in the afternoon, especially at 5 o'clock, it's 100 degrees, and that sun's been on the attic the entire day.
Yeah,
it's just it takes a while to get it down.
Right.
And there will be times when it gets, last year when I got up to 111, 112, I think one time. At that point, it really won't bring it down much at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It doesn't bring the temperature down much. If I've got it at 78, it doesn't bring it down within an hour to, 76 or whatever. It just...
You mean if you set it down to 76, it wouldn't do anything?
From 78 to 76 if it's 110 out. It's keeping it just at that point of where it's at. It might take an hour, 2 hours to lower it a degree at that point.
At 105, between 105 and 110, I'll probably I can get as low as 73, 74 degrees in my house.
Well, I can get there. I can set it there, and it will stay.
Yeah. You're talking about based on where you keep it.
If I have it at 78, and then at 5 o'clock turn it to go down to 75, it's going to take a long time to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
right.
And that's another misnomer. A lot of people say, because they think they'll save money. And this is, again, false information that they're given. I'm not an expert. Don't even believe me. But when they tell you, well, set it up when you leave, set it up to, whatever it is, 80, 82 degrees. I saw 85 somewhere on this post, when you're gone. Well, your AC system is going to have to work constantly to get back down to whatever your temperature is. Let's say it's 75 when you get home. And it's not going to reach that 75 anytime soon in weather like this.
Well, the thing is, too, if you lower it early in the morning at 73, it's still going to work. It's not going to work. If you have it at 78, by the time it starts getting hotter, the air conditioning's on all the time when it's 78. If it was 73, it'd be on all the time. It's still going to be on all the time if it's 78. And it's 105 out.
And it depends on the system. If you have a two-cycle system, and it can run on lower cycle. And again, it depends on your insulation, depends on which house or how many windows you have, what the windows are like, how old they are, which direction your house is facing, those kind of things. And like I can put mine on 72, and if it gets up to 110, it'll probably run it between 72. Set at 72. It'll probably run at 73. I keep it in spring and fall and everything else. I keep it closer to 70. But you're probably, if it's 110 out, with my house, as old as it is, and even with all the insulation, probably running somewhere at best between 70, 72. And part of the reason, too, is, there's people coming in and out. And I have 3 grandkids that have their own cars now. So there's people coming in and out. I'm going in and out. And again, it's a 56-year-old house. So
I've seen this before. Now, again, it may be because I've left the garage door open for a couple of minutes because the cat's out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I have seen occasionally, if I have the house like at 73 and it's 110, that at 5 o'clock when it's at its hottest, I've seen it sometimes go to 74.
Yeah.
It won't stay at 73. Yeah. It's like, okay, it's fighting really hard at that point when it gets up to 110. But at that point, remember, you're down. We're talking 37-degree difference.
And that thermostat, also the placement of that thermostat, and they're very good about where they place them. But it can be. I have one that's close to a bathroom door, but also close to the front door. Fairly close to the front door. So those are things that influence how it's going to work. This idea, though, look, whatever you're comfortable with. Set your AC wherever you want to set your AC. But this information of, well, it's only going to get down to, if it's 105, it's only going to work down to 85 anyway. That's not true. That isn't true. On modern systems, if you live in a really old house, and quite frankly, at that point, I don't know, I might suggest moving. But you would have to, if your system doesn't get your house below 85 when it's 105 out, there's something wrong. And if you're living in a climate where it's typical to get above 100 in the summer, then you probably already know this. And, these are, I was telling you during a break, the media acts as if we've never lived through a summer before. Here's what to drink and not to drink. Here's what to wear and not to wear.
Well,
and we always start with pants. Don't forget to wear pants or shorts.
You see the Fox News story? How to watch the debate on Thursday.
Yeah, right.
Click.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because one of the clips of was it Jake Tapper or somebody else explaining something about Trump to your kids? How to discuss blah, blah, blah with your kids.
Shut up.
This is the liberal because they need somebody to sit and discuss it with them. They're the ones. They're the ones that are on the couch bawling for days after the 2016 election. I
have noticed online that the woman screaming from 2016 is appearing everywhere now.
But, this is the whole thing. Will I be greatly concerned if Biden wins November 5th? Oh, yeah. Will I be crying on my couch? Hell no.
Yeah, so, it was just, but I just brought that up because it was like when the Fox, how to dress for summer. And it just brought it in my mind that's what I was thinking when I saw the Fox News story. How to watch the debate. Click.
Yeah.
Turn it on.
I'm
done.
What to drink.
Click.
What to drink.
What to drink. What to wear.
Can you drink too much water?
And then when fall and winter comes along, here are some winter tips.
Yeah.
Make sure that your flesh is covered when it's minus 10 degrees below zero with a 90-mile-an-hour wind.
Exactly.
Shorts.
Yeah.
By the way, I was just in the plane today. There's a guy, looked like 70 years old. He's got a sleeveless Guns N' Roses tour shirt on.
It may have been a member of Guns N' Roses.
That's what I thought. He's an older guy. He's going to be like 70. He's got tattoos all down his arm.
Yeah.
He's got a sleeveless, tank top, Guns N' Roses concert shirt on.
Who knows?
From where they were touring.
Maybe he's with the band. Why not?
I don't know why I found it so funny, but it was just, it didn't fit.
Yeah, right.
It didn't fit an old guy.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
well, or does it now?
Maybe, that's right. And I did think that too. I went, well, let me see. He would have been, when they came out late 80s, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so 35 years ago. If he's 70, he would have been 35. So he could have been, yeah.
There you go.
I could see it.
Yeah. Still hanging on to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's around my age, and there were a bunch of guys I knew that were huge Guns N' Roses fans, so that would actually make sense.
Now,
wouldn't
considering that the sleeves came with the shirt, there's the decision, assuming they did, there's the decision I have to question. But if you have tattoos, right, you paid for them, they're not going anywhere, you might as well show them off, I guess.
Is it because a lot of local TV news does the weather thing? You know, it's like, this weather is everything, but it's like,
Yeah. But I mean,
do they just think, look, our anchors aren't too smart to handle the real problems of the day. Let's just stick to weather.
Yeah. Boy, it's going to be hot out there today, right, Bob? Oh, yeah. Because it's summer. You know, the time of year it gets hot. Back to you, Rick. Thanks, Bob. Coming up, a list of things you should wear. What you should drink.
Yes, I had to hold my tongue as one of my relatives totally innocently, did not because I'm a talk show host, said, well, you know, the climate change thing. I just like,
Can I get some more iced tea, please?
Oh, it was when it came to plane turbulence. And I'm like, okay, we're just going to let that one go.
Yeah.
Well, plane turbulence is worse. I read it because of climate change. I'm like, okay,
of course.
Yeah. I smile and waved. 866-90-RED-EYE.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome. Good morning. Thanks for being here. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson said Tuesday on CNN's The Source that people did not actually believe that Joe Biden would be on cocaine. And any reference is just in jest. He said, I don't have any personal animus towards Joe Biden. Of course, I respect the office. I've just acknowledged what everybody sees. We can't help how we age. Everybody ages differently at a different pace. Host Caitlin Collins said some of the rhetoric out is out of line when people from Trump's team are suggesting that, and Trump himself, that Biden's going to be on cocaine when he's at the debate stage on Thursday night.
Well, they're the ones that brought it up. The liberal media's he's not going to be on cocaine. I didn't say cocaine. You did. What do you know that Trump, I don't?
Did Trump suggest it?
I don't know. They may have, but I keep seeing it in stories, and it's the media talking about it. It's like, you're the one that seems obsessed with it.
It is a drug they found at the White House.
True. I don't know of any found at Trump Tower.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Coming up, we'll talk more about the debate coming up. Well, in fact, let me just go through this here because I just found this right here. Just let me touch on this since it's the article sitting in front of us right now. How Trump can win the debate. No need for showmanship. Just contrast Biden's record with his own. Donald Trump may be a real estate guy, but his ethic in the first presidential debate should be the familiar rule from the medical profession. First, do no harm. Trump was rejected by voters and is getting a second chance, not after turning over a new leaf, not after disappearing on an image-boosting world tour, Not after starting a new philanthropy. Trump has simply remained himself, while Biden has made people yearn for the pre-Biden years. Trump's goal should be to continue to feed the Trump nostalgia that has been the defining feature of the early stages of the race. Warren Harding once says, "I have no trouble with my enemies. I can take care of my enemies in a fight, but my friends, my GD friends, they're the ones who keep me walking the floor at nights." By the same token, what should worry supporters of Biden and Trump is what they can do to themselves. If Biden wanders off, is obviously confused, or repeatedly lapses into mumbling incoherence, it could lose him whatever ground he has made up in the race, and perhaps much more. By the way, they keep saying that Biden has had a rebound here. Biden may have a rebound in the general election popular total. You look at the states, the battleground states that matter, that's not the case.
Well, and so what does that tell you? If it's a national poll, then it tells you that the blue states are coming together. Hey, we need to rally behind Biden.
Right.
Because when you look at the breakdown of the states, he's not pulling ahead.
No, he's doing worse than after the convictions. Let me just quickly go to the latest polling I was looking at before. But even conservatives keep saying that Trump has been hurt in there. Well, if you are solidifying support in the blue states that don't matter, that you're not going to win, everything is about the battleground states. Let me see. Georgia, Trump +5 if you include everyone. Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah.
Nevada, the Fabrizio latest poll, Trump +7 if you include everybody, which I thought you have to do. Let me see here. Was there another one I was looking at here? This is from that was from yesterday. Let me see. Just keep going down here. We go to then Sunday general election. Trump 50, Biden 49. Arizona. This is Friday. Mm-hmm. Trump 42, Biden 32, Kennedy 13, Stein 3, Trump +10. Wow. By the way, we talked about, the difference, Carrie Lake, the problem she's having in Arizona.
Right.
That same poll that showed Trump up 10, Gallego now just up 1.
I saw that. There was another poll. I got to get them in front of me. Recent poll that had her doing better.
Rasmussen general election. Trump 46, Biden 36.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Missouri, you include everybody in Missouri. Trump 50, Biden 35.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Trump is out polling in that same poll. Hawley's up +9, Trump +15.
Wow.
And so when you look at it overall, the battleground states, and they keep saying that. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wait a minute, you and I look at each other and go, well, what determines the election? That's almost saying, well, you know something. Some basketball team keeps losing, but they have more points per game.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't matter. It's the differentiation between the points.
Exactly.
If you can score more, but if you don't, if you're still losing, it doesn't matter. Your defense is bad, but I'm looking at this and I keep seeing that. I'm just like, where are they looking at that Eric and I aren't? I go, oh, they're looking at the overall popular vote. That's not how the election is done.
It isn't.
Trump doesn't need to tell voters that Joe Biden is old and that Hunter Biden is a drug addict. He doesn't need to insult or interrupt him. He needs to keep himself under control because the most important message he can send to the public is about himself. Trump's persona is the biggest reason that he grabbed Republican politics by the throat and hasn't let go since 2015. It's also the reason that he's been in precarious situations as an electoral bet, narrowly winning in 2016, narrowly losing in 2020, and narrowly leading today. The COVID briefings that Trump used as a free-floating communications platform in 2020 hurt him, and his first debate performance in 2020 hurt him too. I'll never forget my friend Kelly telling me, this goes back to April of 2020, the most loyal Trump supporter you could possibly find. She was the first one. She called me up one day screaming. She said, if Trump doesn't shut up, he's going to lose the election. He's killing himself up there. And I'm telling you, she was the biggest Trump supporter you could possibly ever imagine. The Democrats hope that the public hasn't truly absorbed that Trump is on the cusp of the presidency again. Presumably, people have gotten the memo by now, but they might not be focused on the provocations with which Trump routinely entertains and energizes his most devoted followers at his rallies. And the Republican would be well served by leaving all that rally material off the debate stage, as he should, because those are rallies.
Yeah.
But then again, I think he's figured it out. If you've seen the interviews he's done, he's been right on every topic.
Yeah.
By the way, I think part of that has been done. Part of that has been done for a reason. Part of that has been done. Trump is doing those interviews and articulating the issues point by point by point by point by point to show that, this is the Trump that's out there when it's time to discuss the issues. Rallies are rallies. Everybody knows that.
Right.
But if you look at the interviews he has done, you've got an idea that he has thought about all these things and talked specifically about the issues. Again, the only thing I think Trump should say is that, look, and I think, again, we talked about the tone that he should have. The Biden and the Democrats can solve the problems that we have. They can and they won't, because they created the problems, and you just go down through it.
Yep.
You don't have to insult him. You don't have to say he's old. You don't have to bring up the drugs or whatever he's going to bring up, of course, at the rallies. You don't need to bring that up. People will be able to figure that out by themselves. Stick to the issues and you win.
Yeah, don't engage. You're going to have to, again, redirect and focus on, and you can stay on topic. Again, as we mentioned, if they bring up the whole, do you believe it was rigged? You go right to the laptop and stay on it.
Yep.
Because there's recent information. There are recent stories circulating and the fact-checking. Here's the thing, too. And I mentioned the fact-checking earlier, but that's kind of the residual. The liberal media, and certainly CNN, they want the sound bites to be the residual, however they edit them down. And then they create the headline around the soundbite. What it will come down to is the fact-checking. That's going to be the residual. We set it back with in 2016 with Hillary. Just go at her, and then hit her with the facts. Boom, 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 boom. And then you repeat, as you mentioned, that Biden's family has been benefiting financially. I mean, there's nowhere for Biden to go. Because if Biden has a moment, let's say Biden comes out, everything's fine. You get 30 minutes into a debate, people get fatigued. That's before you have any problems. People who are otherwise healthy get fatigued after being on a stage for 30 minutes going back and forth. That's a marathon. 90 minutes, unless you're used to doing it. And Biden has been spending only a few minutes at a time in the public. So you can do whatever you want in that first half hour. After the first half hour is when that risk meter for Biden having a moment is going to go through the roof. And at that point, the story about the debate changes.
Well, you wonder how worried they are because, again, to basically sequester, to use that term, to sequester Joe Biden as they have, not even doing campaign rallies, completely sequester him. There's questions that come up. I mean, I know that Mike Johnson, the speaker, was asked about, they're saying he's going to be on cocaine. well, the American public looks at it. Whatever the reality is, as we know, there's no transparency here. But people know what Biden is most of the time. Yeah. Are there drugs that they will use for him to keep him up? I don't know.
Yeah,
Nobody knows for sure. You've seen Adderall. You've seen the. By the way, it won't be cocaine. You know why? The high from cocaine doesn't last 90 minutes.
Exactly. Yeah.
During the commercial break. Yeah. We've got a secret camera in here during the commercial break. Here's Joe Biden.
Right. Hunter runs out. You know, like the guy that gets the tennis balls at the tournaments. He runs out real quick with a little line of cocaine on a mirror.
Like Kramer is the ball boy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's all. He's got white comes back. There's white residue.
It's just
Trump just looks at
all over his face.
Look, come on.
Are you seeing this? Are you kidding me?
Now, the thing is, acid would last 12 hours, but that might not be the drug you would want him on.
I would think no. I don't think it would work.
And so you've seen that. Here's the other thing that they're talking about. What they're doing is, and this is really interesting, is the fact that they're changing his sleep patterns.
Yeah.
That they want his sleep pattern changed because one of the reasons, he's up during the day.
But he goes to bed early.
He goes to bed early.
Trump goes to bed at 1 a.m. and gets up at 3 a.m. And I'm not exaggerating that much.
I know you're not. But anything, because, look, the perception's already out there because the reality's out there.
Yeah.
So the reality's out there. People know, the American public knows that that Biden has very, very bad cognitive problems.
Yeah, sure.
And when he disappears for a week for a debate and Trump's out there rallying and still doing everything that he has to do, people look at that and say, well, why would you have to sequester somebody basically for a week? Trump isn't sequestered. Trump's out there doing his thing. He's going to do the debate. Why can't Biden do that? So them doing this to begin with is suspicious. And the question is, will they afterwards? I was seeing Victor Davis Hanson talking about it, saying they're going back to 2020 again. They think that this is how they will win again. Just,
that's it. I mean, that's the whole thing is that I see all this. Well, the last time these two were on a debate. Nope. We were knee deep in COVID. The world had lost its mind. And Joe Biden was 20 years younger mentally.
4 years ago, yeah. Well, you see the video.
I said this while you were gone yesterday. Go back and look some of the video because the liberal media is putting it up there. Here's a clip of when they were on the debate stage last, and because they want to show, Trump and what they want to go after Trump on. And I said, you got to look at Biden. Look at Biden from 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. He looks 20 years younger. Yeah. It's not the same. This is not the same. And, my gosh, how many things? Okay, we're out of COVID. We are finding out the truth about COVID. We know the truth about the laptop. We know, and we know inflation that's ever present in our life. We know the broken border that Biden created, the inflation that he created as well.
Well, the difference is, and it's a huge difference, Biden's been president for the last 3.5 years. That's the problem.
Look at all the things that he's broken.
Right. But if you stick to the issues and you throw out, when because the rigging's going to come up, you simply say, the laptop, look at this, the Biden the Biden campaign, and your Secretary of State is the one that got this thing started for them to put it out. That's election interference right there.
Yep.
We know the poll showed after the election that if people would have known this, whatever the amount was, it was like 17% of people claimed that they would vote different.
Yep.
You bring that out. You bring up, look at Snopes this week. Look at Snopes this week on what Biden accused me of in the last debate. In the debate back then, the very good people, Snopes came out and said he never said that.
Right.
Never said that. You look at Russia collusion that existed at that time where people were still saying that I was colluding with Russia. That was an operation paid for and put together by the Clinton administration.
Yep.
And they dealt with Iggy Danchenko. He was, if he, Trump wants to get that specific, he was a Russian national. So the only one colluding with the Russians to try to win the 2016 election was Hillary Clinton.
Right.
And Jake Tapper, you reported all of these lies.
Yep.
And by the way, I wouldn't even say it with that kind of passion that I'm saying it with. I would say it much more matter-of-factly. And Jake Tapper, you and your network promoted these lies over and over and over again.
Yep. I'd go straight back at him. Yep.
Yeah. But the one I found interesting was that they're doing this because they're trying to get him on a different sleep pattern.
And by the way, a listener points out Dana Bash's husband was one of the 51 intelligence people.
Yep.
Just a reminder on that, and thank you for that.
Yeah,
because that's important. You've got both of the moderators cornered.
But you can't complain about it when you can complain about it in order to win the narrative of the day.
Yeah.
But you really can't complain about it because you agreed to it.
Yep, but stay on it.
Yes, 866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on roadside inspections. Drivers must always be prepared for a roadside inspection. This means drivers should always have their personal, vehicle, and company credentials organized and ready, and having any shipment paperwork such as bills of lading or hazardous materials shipment emergency response information organized and ready for the inspection official. Just an FYI, the top 2 violations written against drivers every year, as well as during Operation Road Check, are log general form and manner and log not current. Both are completely avoidable if the driver keeps the log accurate, compliant, and current at all times. Having the vehicle ready for inspection involves the driver conducting daily inspections and making sure any problems that are discovered are immediately corrected. Vehicle readiness also requires the company to make sure that the vehicle is current on all scheduled maintenance and that the maintenance schedule is adequate. This will make sure the driver is being given a sound vehicle to start with. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Again, some of the strategy for the debate, more of that coming up following the bottom of the hour. Plus, Biden loses again on the student loan. I can't even read it, this headline. On student loan transferring, not forgiveness.
It's not forgiveness.
It's the transferring of the student loan debt. We'll get to that coming up.
Bringing on the chaos. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I see Victor Davis Hanson was on Fox News the other day and asked about what the Biden administration was doing. Yeah, I think they're going back to the 2020 formula. They think it worked then. And what was that formula? It was to sequester Joe Biden away from the crowds, not have him campaign, have his talking points outsourced to a whole array of subordinate lackeys, and then count on the media to demonize Trump, and then count. And that is what's scary, that Election Day is a mere construct, and 70% of the people would be voting early or on mail or ballot. I think they're going to Xerox that 2020 formula all over again. You're going to see them on the campaign trail. They're going to try to raise a lot of money from bi-coastal elites, and they're going to outsource it to the media, and then these subordinates will be the attack dog. We know what the message is going to be. January 6th, democracy dies, abortion, abortion, abortion. Trump is Hitler. I don't think it's going to work the second time. We saw in the first debate and in the second debate in 2020, Joe Biden was sequestered again. He was not really out there anywhere. He rested. He changed his time clock. There were rumors that he may have got some stimulant help, and then he came out and he growled and he yelled. He did the same thing in the State of the Union.
Yeah.
He did it in the infamous Phantom of the Opera, ultra mega semi-fascist. I think Donald Trump should expect that he hasn't been at work for 4 or 5 days, and he's been resting. He's been prepped on everything. I don't think he's going to come out cognitively sharp, but he's going to become animated, angry like the State of the Union. I think Trump, if he stays cool, and it doesn't mean he can't be sharp in the questioning, just be calm and polite. One of the questions you should have said to him, I think he could, you said, Joe, one of the last times we debated, you looked me in the eye and said that I was incorrect or lying about the laptop. You told the American people that it was the work of Russia disinformation. Now, do you want to apologize and say to your campaign operative, Anthony, that and say that your operative, Anthony Blinken, set it all up? He can do things like that if he does it calmly and politely, but mostly he needs to talk about his past record, his current agenda, and what he will do for us, and contrast that with the utter disaster over the last 3.5 years.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Well, all right. So he mentions things that we have mentioned, and that is demeanor. You stay on it. You stay on it, too, so that you can stay focused, but the demeanor is going to be everything. And also, you're counting on, you mentioned this earlier, you're counting on Biden to be off his game because Biden is off his game. Biden has been off his game, and it's getting worse day by day. And so you can easily throw him, and that's what you're looking to do. You don't have to come in swinging. Just get in the ring. Just dance around him for a minute, and it's all going to fall out. And the contrast between the two, something we've talked about. Again, people want to go back to the spending power they had in 2019. It used to be, remember the good old days. Well, the good old days are just 5 years ago. The good old days were Trump's first term, when they were actually creating jobs, not bringing back the jobs that were lost during COVID. And these are the things that, this is the mindset of the American public. The American voter has always kind of had that. Man, I really want things to go back to, well, in this case, it's recent. And you have two incumbents, basically. You essentially have two incumbents that both have been president. Which one did you like better? Which years did you like better? It's not a situation like 2016. It's not like 2020. It's not like any other election cycle because you have that recent history of Trump and you have the current situation under Biden. And people can choose easily. And there's your difference. Stay on it. Stay focused. And I just don't see how, again, Biden is damned if he does, damned if he doesn't on, whatever supplemental support he's going to have. If he comes out and doesn't blink for 30 minutes and has that weird tone that he had during the State of the Union, like he lost his ability to modulate his voice, it's going to look weird. So that's going to look weird. If he comes out and has a moment where he freezes, it's going to be horrible. Honestly, the issues speak for themselves. I mean, you still have to get out there and make the connection. But the issues speak for themselves. People are judging now about the capability of the individual.
The problem that Biden has is one that the Democratic Party has right now, and it's on every issue. And why every issue now has come up against reality.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, for example, defund the police. We know what's happened in those cities that have defunded the police and how they're scrambling not to defund the police. We know how there's now a problem in recruitment of those cities. On spending, well, we finally hit reality, and that's inflation.
Yeah.
And the inflation that won't go away that has affected nobody's talking about the fact that, well, you got help from Biden.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's talking about the government help anymore, are they?
No,
that's completely gone. Why? Because it didn't matter what the government help was. Inflation has been a lot worse. And that government help was sold to you as the fact that, well, this is going to help you.
Yeah.
And they were warned, if you go this far, this will put inflation over the top. And that's exactly what happened. They were warned by Obama economists not to do it, that they were going too far in the spending. So the Biden has a problem right now that when he ran in 2020 was all abstract. Yeah. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. It's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be unbelievable. Okay, he hadn't done it yet. Now he's been president. Now the reality of Biden, people know, and the reality of Trump, people know when it comes to the issues. And as we've stated many times, when it comes to the issues on Trump, where is he a radical?
Right. Yeah.
When it comes to the issues of Biden, where is he a radical? Wow. We could go on, and we have gone on forever.
Yeah.
As to where he's radical.
Right.
And that's the problem that Democrats have. Nothing is abstract anymore. We know what the reality is.
Yeah.
Just like for Bowman yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Jamaal Bowman in New York in the primary. The reality hit. He's in a New York City district, much more sensitive to anti-Semitism.
Yep.
He lost big because he's a pro-Hamas anti-Semite.
Yep.
And his challenger was less delusional. He only believes in a two-state solution that nobody believes in.
That the two states don't believe in.
Yeah.
Would-be states.
And that's how you win as a Democrat.
Yep.
Take a position that neither side is holding.
Yep.
And then you're safe.
Yep.
I'm taking a position nobody's holding.
Right.
Therefore, you can't criticize me.
Exactly.
Well, we're not holding that position. Neither are we. Well, that guy is. Well, okay, vote for him. We're a Democrat.
Right.
We're Democrats, so we vote for the person that's less delusional when it comes to the hatred of Jews.
Yeah.
But is talking about a solution that nobody wants. And that's what we're looking for as a Democrat.
Exactly.
If you talk about a solution that nobody wants, that's the key to success.
Well, it's their way of it's a weird virtue signaling. Oh, we care about doing something, but we're really going to propose nothing. We want that guy. I mean, that's basically what they said.
Both sides are wrong. We need something that nobody wants. That makes me better than you. God.
I know. It really just keeps getting worse and worse, doesn't it?
And you saw what happened, but the two Obama-appointed judges say, sorry.
Yeah.
Unconstitutional. 18 states sued on the grounds that the college loan transfer was not authorized by Congress and turned loans into grants. Federal judges, Obama-appointed federal judges, David Crabtree and John Ross, more or less agreed and blocked most of the plan, though they let some of the provisions take effect as litigation continues, but not the loan transfer part of it. Judge Crabtree held that the plan likely violates the High Court's major questions doctrine because it is an enormous and transformative expansion in statutory authority without clear congressional authorization. The $475 billion estimated price tag over 10 years, he writes, forgives nearly 1/3 of all student loan debt. He added that the plan substantially revises the income-based repayment plans that Congress enacted in 2010. Judge Crabtree said the department's interpretation of the law falls short of clear congressional authorization. Duh. The nationwide injunctions stop the administration from writing off tens of billions of dollars in debt, though more than 4 million borrowers will still pay nothing while the litigation proceeds.
Mm.
And so they can't blame the Obama judges, so the education secretary accused Republicans and special interests of harming their constituents by suing to block the plan. So it's not the liberal justices that said, no, this is so clearly unconstitutional, we can't go for it. They didn't blame the
Right.
judges. It's
Right.
Republicans for suing.
Ah.
So
yes.
we follow
How dare you.
So we follow the Constitution
Right.
that even Obama judges can
Yeah.
see was wrong.
Right.
What Biden is doing.
Right.
The SAVE plan, was another cynical exercise to buy votes, and Biden officials knew that they were stretching the law all the time. They knew they were violating
Of course
the law.
they did. Yeah.
We all know it.
Yep. And they keep they're making these. It basically they're trying to buy votes. It's part of the overall Hail Mary package, and it's unconstitutional. We, the people, are the bank. If we decide through our elected representatives that we want to change that entire loan thing and including transferring of loans, then great, let's do that. Let's bring that up on Capitol Hill. That's not going to happen, by the way. And Biden knows that. But he's trying to be the hero again. And he's trying to buy votes.
866-90-RED-EYE.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I wonder how much interest there is in the debate. I know for people in the media, it's like, really, can Biden perform? Trump, the only thing that you'd probably be questioning is he going to be the interview Trump or the rally Trump? But really, the interest is, can Biden get through it? But how many Americans have already made the decision where it really doesn't matter now? They know so much about both because this is a unique part of it.
Yeah.
This isn't where you have one candidate who's a well-known quantity and the other who's not. Both are basically incumbents.
Yep. Yeah, that was my point earlier in that they know what they want out of a president. And you don't have to look at them and go, well, I know what the current president will do. I can't be sure what the other guy will do because he hasn't been president yet. We've got two incumbents here in front of you.
Right. There is no, well, I want to give this guy a chance to see what he can do. We know what both will do.
Yep. Yeah, you want another 4 years of this?
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.